first morning thoughts. Um, I'm making it worse. Yes. Well, I was watching a video and it's like they were discussing, drinkers' video this morning, and a friend that a guy he has on there on the Skype call says basically the same thing as what is in Hollywood is that we're giving the writing positions and directing positions to all the wrong people, unqualified people. Bay formers. I mean, like Michael Bay is an action person. He is not a giant robot person. You know, so if he goes outside his comfort zone or outside of his thing, yeah, but it's not really that good. It's like yeah, he'll make the action scenes epic, but he cannot write giant robots. And we were afraid, like when he does Ninja Turtles, it's like, yeah, and it's like, okay, it didn't. I didn't watch them because I don't want to. Again, also like what they said, you know, once you kind of script a franchise, it kind of screws up everything because then it affects everything that came before it. You know, like with Sarah Connor, and Doctor Who, and everything else, and Star Wars, where it's like, you're screwing it up. Stop screwing up my childhood, which was a phrase a while back. You know, all these different franchises that try to go woke end up just making everything, even what became before it, which was really awesome, kind of screwed up because it's like now it's a part of it. It's canon, and it's like, oh no. And then you see characters again act not how you would remember or how you would think those characters would act, but they're modern and woke. It's how, but it wasn't written. It was written in the '70s for kids, and now you're doing this on Netflix for adults or adulter audiences who had grown up with this, and then you say, oh, now she's going to be a stereotypical woman, no, stereotypical fictional woman, might I add. And so you're giving like all the wrong people, you know, positions they don't deserve to be in because they're not qualified. You know, you gave you gave the green light on to reboot a franchise and wrote um, Ghostbusters 2016. Again, I have no problem with female actresses or to reboot a franchise or to put four women in the roles of four guys. I have no problem with that. What I do have a problem with is bad writing. All my gripes with Hollywood is bad writing. All the way up to She Hulk Attorney at Law. Again, bad writing. Again, I have no problem with female characters. But people put other people in charge of things they are not qualified for. If you want an action movie, you don't put a comedian director or a comedian writer, in that role. You get an action writer, for your action movie. But for some strange reason, people have been Hollywood's been putting in a bunch of, all the mismatched people and saying, well, that would work. Why wouldn't that work? And I've seen people make mistakes, not just in Hollywood, but people would just say, well, just give the job to that person. I've seen that in my personal life. Like, give the job to that person. That's fine. That person is not qualified for this job. Well, as long as he doesn't burn the house down or whatever, it's like, it's fine. But he's screwed up dozens of times. It's fine. He still has that job. Why? Why? Well, it's like, well, we have an adult shortage, so give it to him. And not that he shows promise or anything. No, he really sucks at his job. I've met this guy, and there's nothing in his character that supports that he is management material. He's not a leader. He is just an 18-year-old boy put in charge. and doesn't do anything. He can work a spreadsheet, sure, but management, no, no. He's not management material. He's not an adult. He's an immature little boy put in charge of something he should not be. Again, it's like putting a 10-year-old behind the wheel of a car without, you know, um, back in the day would be a phone book. For those of you who don't know, would put a phone book down and stilts or something like that. It's like, yeah, they put a 10-year-old behind the wheel of a car. Yeah, they could drive that thing fine. No, 10-year-olds cannot drive cars. I'm sorry. That's not how that works. But people think, well, what, how could that not work? Or how could that not fail? And what logic and what universe does that work? But people still stand there and still do it because they think they know what they're doing. You know, and so yes, I've seen this outside of Hollywood, where society now just gives people things out of necessity or obligation or something, but it is completely illogical to do that. You know, it's like it's like holding up a flaming torch in a dynamite factory. It's like thinking nothing can possibly go wrong. And I've seen this with adults too, where people think they know enough that they can do no wrong. It's like, well, I've lived long enough. I know how to do this. And it's like, but obvious 2 plus 2 equals 4. No, no, no. I know what I'm doing. Right. You're making a judgment call, but you don't see where you're wrong with that. Where, because they said this is what's going to happen and they'll be fine. But it's like, no, you're not. No, it's not. No, it's not. You're saying that in the future we're going to do this, this, and this, and this, and it'll all be fine. And I'm saying, no, you're not going to want to do that. You're going to be tired getting off of work, and you're not going to want to do anything. You know. So I've seen this in my life where people make logical people, wise people, and people honestly should have known better make mistakes, glaring mistakes, and refuse to fess up to it and acknowledge, oh wait, I am tired. I am cranky. It's like, yeah, get it? You know. So in my personal life, in my work life, in Hollywood, people make mistakes. Now, I've just made a mistake yesterday, honestly. I made a humongous payment for the next year. I'm going to have to pay about just under $300 extra on top of trying to bring down my credit rate. Yikes. But it's all for the best. It's for insurance and everything, but you know, that's what next year's going to be. I kind of staggered into this, but whatever. It's my fault. I'll fess up to it because I've seen all this around me throughout my life. Where mistakes are happened, but people won't refuse to fess up to it. You know, where people will just, people want to be neither willing to accept that they are one of two things only. Either they're the victim or they're the hero of their own story. What people outright refuse to believe that they're the villain of their own story, that they create the problems in one particular instance in their life. And they're willing to blame anyone and anything else other than themselves, that they're the problem or the cause of today's suffering. Because it's like, well, you know, I'm not wrong. No, no, you're wrong. No, that's why the ending in Encanto feels horrifically rushed. Because even though the grandmother saw and was like, oh, it's all laid out in front of me, and spelled out for me, the cause and effect and the consequence, it would take her forever, if not at all, to accept that she was still the problem. Trust me. People in real life don't realize that, even when it slaps them upside the face that, yeah, it's you, not me, or the rest of the world, to accept that it was them. People who live in denial kind of stay in denial because they cannot refuse to believe. It's like, I'm Darth Vader? You know? Of like falling down. That guy says, I'm the bad guy in this? It's like, yeah, it's like, huh. You know, no one ever wants to believe they're Darth Vader. And that's kind of the problem. People make not wise choices, but just positional decisions. I'm in this position, so I make this, this choice. You know, and it's like all the wisdom is gone. And I feel like this is somehow out of. It can't all be out of stupidity. It has to be out of you know obligation or peer pressure or optics or whatever have you. Some of these decisions have to be based off of something else other than stupidity because, an entire society cannot be this stupid. To say, yeah, let's mismatch all these positions in Hollywood. You know, desperation is probably one thing, but you kind of have to realize it's not going to work properly and not act surprised when it doesn't work out properly. You know, when you give someone the wrong job, they're not going to do well. They're not going to. They probably won't burn the house down, but it's not going to function properly. And I've seen that a lot in Hollywood, in society, in my life. You know, but that's the thing with people, and if it does go off with I know stuff and plateauing of knowledge, because they say, well, I've lived long enough, I've experienced enough, so therefore I can make a decision. It's like, you're 18. What the fuck do you know about judgment and life and pain and sorrow? You know, it, no, you, you just know. You know, because I've seen him make mistakes constantly. He's not mature. He's immature. So anyway, yeah. So that's pretty much my thoughts on the state of the world right now. Is everything's all mixed up and not where it needs to be, for it to function properly. It's like slapping a band aid on a gaping wound and saying, there! Or on a gunshot wound. Yeah, sure. It's like, here you go. It's like, that's not really helping. That's not solving the problem. You know, well, anyway, time to go on. I gotta get ready for work soon. All right, take care. Bye.